Ba 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 ba.
Jumping the gun, yeah, like I do it for fun. You act like you do it for real, but no, you're not on the vibes. You never could come inside of this gutter we run, inside of this world we run. We do it for us. No, I'll fuck with one of them at all. We don't function at all. No, I won't pick it because no, I don't like it at all. I can't want to see you fall. I keep on chasing the highs, I know I can never get back, so I'm always on low. And I got eyes on the back of my head, I got eyes everywhere, so I know where you go.
Monday, Wednesday. New videos come out Monday, Wednesday. Or no, new videos come out Monday, Thursday. Streaming is on Sundays and Wednesdays, recording. Oh shit, guys. I'm in severe back pain. And the only cure is these fucking like chocolate chip raisin cookies I got. 8D audio, this song, that would be sick. Hello from New Zealand, what up? You angry today? It's good, feel that anger. Just don't let it consume you. Back pain from twerking, yeah. Moving my ass around too fast, bro. My bones can't keep up. Yeah, it was so weird. It was from like deadlift. I'm like for real thinking maybe I should stop deadlift. It just went like pretty heavy. I mean, like it was like week 3 or whatever, which means you do like your heaviest. Yeah, my old bones. I don't know, it was one of those things where it didn't tweak anything during it, but it's just like, it's so painfully sore the days after that like, I don't even know why. Like it's like unexplainable. Well, not really. It's like my psoas. Chiropractor. So my theories on the chiropractor, I like it, but it's like if you don't get your tissues kind of figured out first, you know what I mean? If you don't get like your muscles and all your like fascia, you know, worked on first, it's the tightness in the muscles that's like pulling on the bones, you know, and making them out of, you know, just I guess out of alignment, you might say. But yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. It's like I did some squat today, but I really forced through it, and that was just dumb. I probably shouldn't have done it, but it was just so weird. It was like, I couldn't activate anything. It just like felt in this perpetual state of just busted. You go to acupuncture this weekend, heard it really helps. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I mean, ideally, like if acupuncture is like pressure point type concept and it just releases the muscles, I mean, that would be sick. Chewing, you don't like chewing noises? What's the matter? Aren't you a freak? Aren't you an ASMR freak like the rest of the internet? Local time, 12:27 a.m. Interesting. I'm wondering if you're an hour ahead of the East Coast, where does that put you on the map? Are you in like Canada or some shit? Way north? But yeah, it's like Raisin Bran cookies. but then they're made into a sandwich, so it's fucking buttercream in between. It's been bad, guys. I've been eating so many fucking baked goods, I can't even explain it. I can't stop. I have no self-control. Acupuncture might be good for your nerve pain. Yeah, you know, it's like because sometimes it's like, the way I see it and said before, it's like if the muscles are tight, they're pulling the bones, and if they're pulling the bones, they're like the bones are putting pressure on the nerve, and you know, then the nerve is what causes most of your pain or whatever, you know. So if something can release via whatever method to like let pressure off of that muscle and therefore the bone and then nerve, or even just whatever nerve might transverse through the musculature. I'm eating Little Debbie's pretty much, but these are like high quality Little Debbie's. Fucking, what are they called? I can't believe I can't think of the name. It's the people who like drive the buggies around. Amish. I was gonna say autistic, but that's not right. I interrupted your movie. Good. We need your full attention. Attention! All the way from South American. Yes, one of my friends from Venezuela was telling me that they're having like almost like a borderline civil war there with the transition of power. And like protesters are getting killed and stuff. Share. I'm gonna break it into 139 little pieces. I hand feed everybody. What's up, Liz? How you doing? Been a while. I don't know, life is short, and sometimes you just gotta fucking eat some baked goods. The sweetest ones you can find. I might rack my body, but it's alright. Sometimes the body needs a little bit of a test. It's so annoying, dude. Water goes down the wrong pipage. What's up, Vashti? How we doing? It's kind of funny. I used to have like little alcohol wipes here. What were they called? I mean, they were for your hands technically, but now for some reason they're just like completely dried out, so they're just like pieces of dried fabric. I'm like, whatever, they still work. All prime generals are to be reported to the front line. Chief Joel is about to make a statement. Chief Joel is about to give us a little snack. Been like a year, I'm back. How's life? How's everything? It's Moses. What's that, Moses? I'm good. Just eating cookie. Oh man. Anything cool going on? Did I tell you guys I beat Animal Well? I really enjoyed that game. And it's like one of those games where it's like after you beat it, there's almost like too many secrets afterwards. But it's like every time you find out more and more secrets or like unlock something, it's like it's such a good feeling. It's like beating a boss in Dark Souls or some shit. Sort of like a eureka type moment. No blockage found. They called it sinus tachycardia. My heart was going over 200 beats per minute. Interesting. Did they do a stress test or something to make it go that high, or is it baseline like that? About to try some cinnamon bun toast crunch cereal. Hell yeah. Let us know. Describe it to us in explicit detail. Like 50 Shades of Grey, but for food. I still have a beard. I think I might have something on my face. It might be buttercream. Ever played Devil May Cry? It's been a while. Oh god. You can hear Pradeep meowing. No. No. With arms wide open. I don't know. Sometimes it's just good to be a fat piece of shit. Dude, I wish I was born an emperor. And people could just feed me cookies all day. I would be the first. I'd be a sumo wrestler emperor. Who's the sumo wrestler from Street Fighter? I'd be that guy. E Honda. Says to do with the cult. Yeah, but nobody can digitally hand feed me. It's not fair. It's not fair. Greetings from Utah. What's up, Roger? Speaking of cults. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't know anything was going on. It was the weirdest thing. Oh, okay. I was sitting in the office. My heart was beating too fast. Man, Elvis. You can't seem to catch a break, man. I'm really sorry. We need some milk. Oh yeah, fat bastard. He was a sumo wrestler at the beginning of the second Austin Powers, right? I'm so disappointed my kids ate the damn cereal, mother effer. Now I'm stuck with tricks with marshmallows. That doesn't sound too bad. But I feel like that would be the worst thing ever. You get something for yourself and then your kids just... little parasites just absorb it as soon as you walk in. What's up, Holly? How we doing? If you were an emperor, who'd be doing live streams of scary stories for us? I guess I would do it, but I would do it to the nation. And you would be forced to listen. All of my subscribers would be authentic. Authentically forced at gunpoint to subscribe. Oh, that was in the third Austin Powers. Damn. Dude, those are so good. You guys need to watch those if you haven't. That's why you don't want kids, so they don't steal your cookies. Your Cinnabon cereal. Okay, time to get hype. Wish you had a sleeping pill. I will be your sleeping pill. Trying to cut down on sugar and caffeine. I'm almost back to 200 pounds. 211 at the last visit. Oh, that's good. Yeah, just gotta be disciplined. And I say that as I shovel sugar into my gullet. It's not my kid I have to worry about. It's my damn husband who eats everything at night. Oh, yeah. I remember my mom would, like, sleepwalk and just, like, eat everything in sight. But she was always, like, so skinny, too. I don't know how she did it. I just woke up 4:30 a.m. Grrr. Did you get any sleep? Oatmeal cream sandwich. I can mentally smell it. Yeah. Maybe if you start chewing on like a chicken breast, it'll... Oh, you can't hear me. I'm sorry. Sorry. I never know what the mixology is with the songs versus my voice. Yuji-kan Nagi, what's up, dude? You did 1,000 curls today. My arms will be noodles tomorrow. Jesus, dude. That seems a little bit of an overkill. Peace and light from Atlanta. Hot Atlanta. David, thank you for the one, my friend. What do you say, guys? Should we just get into it? Not much, working on corns and listening to you tonight. Hope you're having a good evening. Oh, comms. I was like, whoa, someone's planting corn. Or working on someone's cornrows. Drop the beats. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat there. Yeah, let's just get into it, huh? Bing bong. Vámonos, muchachos. Probably shouldn't ate all that sugar before starting, because now I got the sniffles. Also, I'm like on the tail end. Remember I told you about those peptides I took? The ones that are supposed to increase HGH. It may have, but man, it fucked me up. It was just like the worst, I don't even know, infection, like actual hardcore bronchitis for like a week. And like pulmonary edema to start it off. Just so random. But almost got all the shit out of my lungs. And I don't think I'm like producing any more fluid in the lungs, so that's good. But it's just, I don't know, it was such a weird reaction to it. But I think it was like an allergic reaction along with the pulmonary edema that just like then got infected. It was just so many bad things all at one time. Man, Pradeep's gonna meow, so I'm just gonna like go let him walk around the garage. What's up, Carly? How we doing? Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, bless me with health. That would be superb. Yeah, it sucks. It's like cough. I don't know, maybe because I was working out while I was sick, it just made it worse. But my God, it's like normally I can, still accepting stories. Yeah, for sure. Email it over. Let's read submissions at gmail.com. And Gid Gav, welcome to the Buttersaw Cult. You now have access to bonus content. It's been a little bit. I forgot how to stream. Yeah, cast a spell. Yeah, I'm just always sick. I don't know. Back in September of 2017, my girlfriend and I of 3 years ended up going through an extremely bitter breakup. And since we were living together... Shit. Sometimes I don't like enunciate. Do I have a big house? Nah. I don't really need a big house, to be honest with you. Yeah, I might take the rest of the week off from the gym just to recover, but it's just weird because normally I'm like good to go. I feel like I'm getting like weaker. I'm not like making progress like I was before. Shit's fucking annoying, man. I live in a hobbit hole. I wish, dude. Huge heart. Grandma, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. And since we were living together, I boxed up my stuff and moved out on October 1st. I stayed in a hotel for almost 2 weeks, and working by day and then searching for apartments by night. But most of the places I saw advertised online were, in a word, depressing. My initial searches excluded all shared apartments because I did not like the idea of having some random roommate. But as time went by and my hotel bills started creeping towards 4 figures, I started dropping more and more of my search filters. I started to seriously consider the possibility of having a roommate, especially if I could meet them prior to moving in, so I could kind of assess if they were going to be a problem or not. Everyone I talked to on the phone seemed either sketchy, unreliable, or a combination of the two. But then, right when I'm about to give up, I met Florian. Florian was seeking a roommate to help pay the rent of Florian. That sounds like a Seattle, Washington roommate name. Your daughter's close friend just passed away yesterday. Turned... What? What happened? Sorry to prod, but that sounds really serious to be that young. You know what's really annoying too is I was coughing at the gym, and when I coughed at the gym prior to doing a squat, my like whole... I'm just bitching this time, but whatever. But this whole fucking front of my abs just like hurt out of nowhere, and it like looped up to like my back, and I'm fairly certain it's the psoas muscle that's like in pain because maybe it's that close to the diaphragm, and also just from the deadlift and stuff, but because it kind of comes up it like connects to your hips and like wraps up around like through your like basically back to your like posterior. Do I vape? No. But like it I don't know. Bad news bears. Oh, fuck me, dude. Florian was seeking a roommate to help pay the rent on his 2-bedroom apartment in Bushwick, and when I clicked on the photos of his place, I was shocked. The apartment was really, really nice, kind of like rustic, a sort of warehouse type of vibe, but all the fittings and furniture looked brand new. But the best thing was what Florian wrote in his little About Me section. He'd written something like, I work exclusively. I work exclusively. Oh shit. So funny, I thought I saw a bug crawling on my microphone, but it was just dust. Thank God. Sore ass. Want me to flash you? Alright, I did. I just did just now. Enjoy. Too many lung busters? Yeah. Oh no, I don't smoke cigarettes or anything like that, but the psoas muscle gets inflamed and acts up sometimes, hoping the surgery will help that. Yeah, it's like there's this one thing that I used. I have it upstairs, but it's like it almost like curls into your muscle, and like you like lay on it, and it sucks initially, but it did give me a lot of relief in my back. But then it like comes back. And that's the thing. Is like I've never like gotten like work done and done stretching and stuff like that, and then just like had the muscle that's like tight immediately go back to like tight again. Like that to me is just really fucking weird. Nerves. Florian was seeking a roommate to help pay the rent on his 2-bedroom apartment in Bushwick, and when I clicked on the photos of his place, I was shocked. The apartment was really, really nice. Kind of like a rustic warehouse type of vibe, but all the fittings and furniture looked brand new. But the best thing was what Florian wrote in his little About Me section. He'd written something like, "I work exclusively at night, so you have the apartment to yourself in the evenings, but I require complete silence during daylight hours." I just started working from home at the time, and complete silence in the day was exactly what I was looking for. I sent him a message, we spoke on the phone, and then I arranged to stop by the apartment to talk face to face. The place was even nicer in person, and in many ways, Florian seemed like the ideal roommate. He was tall, this skinny Estonian guy, very dry and reserved, and wore a dark turtleneck and glasses. He said he was a filmmaker and was undertaking a project that exclusively involved night shoots, hence why he'd be out of the apartment by sundown. He was a sober vegetarian, but didn't mind if I kept meat or alcohol in the apartment. In fact, he didn't seem to care what I did, so long as I didn't smoke or make any noise whatsoever during the daytime. After explaining my situation and why silence during the day was ideal, I decided to test out his sense of humor and ask if he was a vampire. He didn't laugh. He didn't even crack a smile. He just replied, "No. As I said, I'm a vegetarian." And thankfully, my attempt at humor didn't spoil my chances, and since I volunteered my share of 3 months' rent in advance, he offered me the room right there and then. The following Monday, I was moving my stuff into the apartment. I had to wait until after 7 p.m., but with the help of a very flexible moving company, I had everything moved in by 11, and by the end of the next day, I was unpacked and settled in. Living with Florian, is this guy's name Florian? What the fuck kind of name is Florian? Florian. 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 Have you checked out the rest of Baroska? Wait, what's Baroska again? Why does that sound so familiar? Oh. Yeah, dude, how long did it take him to get part 2 up? Is it up now? I gave up hope. The Dark Somnium. Is it out yet? 8 days ago, I encountered terrifying ancient beings, 10 little scumbags. I was hired to record a strange ritual. We found a gateway that lives. I can see paranormal things. There are some of the strangers have been trapped in a completely. I brought my wife. This is what we found deep. Oh. No, I don't think he posted part 2 yet, did he? It's out? What's it called? Is it on another channel? Is it called Baroska 2? What's up, Andre? Call me weird, but sometimes you sound like Itachi. That's why I listen. Nice, dude. I always try to be evil. Anime man. I see Baroska 1. Now, presumably it would be called like... Oh, you heard it on a channel called... on T6? Well, it wouldn't be my voice, would it? Hey everyone, hope you're having a good... Amelia, what up, dude? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you guys see it, let me know where to find it, because I've been checking on Dark Somnium's channel for a while to see if he posted it, and he said it, like, I don't know. Maybe he's waiting on other people's parts or whatever still. Or maybe it's like he's putting the hardcore edits into it. I don't know, man. Lynn, thank you for the 23 months. Forgot about this. You want a jelly bean, Mr. White? This channel is always bussin'. No cap, Frizzy. Thank you, Lynn. Good to see ya. Been listening for years on the podcast app. Yeah, on those like compilation videos, I need to do on those compilation videos. I need to do some promos for the podcast, because I feel like some people don't overtly know that this is all over on podcasts. Has anyone ever done a character art for you? Evil narrator would be fun, and you should do it. Tag me in it. Allergy medicine, health medicine, but the medicine was depressing? No, I don't remember that. Lynn, or Grandma, thank you for the one gift or two. Michelle Pfeiffer, thank you, Grandma. Welcome ZDR. Yeah, we're just recording. We were looking for a collaboration I did, but I guess it's not up. Someone mentioned it in chat. Who was that? Damn. Grandma, thank you for another gift or two. Dexter, Ree. And Amelia with the 5 says, love you forever, Joel. Miss joining the live stream. It's good to have you. Thank you. How's everything going? How do you receive gifts? I think you have to like turn them on through your Google account. I'm fairly certain. Turn it on through Google. Say thank God in the voice from Castlevania. I'm not sure what they sound like. Thank God. Thank God. I'm just guessing. Living with Florian was like living with a ghost. He kept his end of the staying silent deal by being a ninja whenever I was asleep, and since sometimes I go to the gym or go grocery shopping around the time he left for work, we'd sometimes go days at a time without seeing each other. I had a quiet place to work during the day and had someone who wouldn't infringe on his schedule or lifestyle while paying half the rent. It was ideal, really. But sometimes Florian was so quiet it was almost spooky. I'd wake up, head downstairs to make my coffee, and walk into a spotless kitchen. But then when I opened up the fridge, there'd be a week's worth of vegetarian meal prep all boxed up and ready to go, when the previous night there had been nothing but a few beers and my leftover box of halal cart street meats. I know that might sound like a weird thing to complain about, but I'm not even really complaining about it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that was the closest thing to a red flag I ever got with Florian, and I kind of wish there had been more to go on. And so, for the first 7 to 8 weeks, I lived in a state of almost complete bliss. I'd somehow managed a clean break from my ex-girlfriend, so although it still bothered me somewhat, it wasn't like she was blowing up my phone, and she certainly didn't know where to find me. And then having my brand new, uber-quiet, super Gucci workspace with its minimalist decor and monochrome color scheme made it very easy to pour myself into my projects, find my peace, and just sort of move on. I'd found the perfect temporary living arrangement, or at least I thought I had. One day, I finished work at around 5, walking down the block to get some noodles from the good old Cantonese place, and then, when I was walking back to the apartment, I felt my cell phone buzzing in my apartment. Shit. And Samira, thank you for the 5 gifters to Nono, Blueberry, Yurdy, Justin Ashcraft, and Layla Left. Thank you, Samira. Appreciate you. Mr. Creepypasta has it? Really? Did they post it on his channel? Is it with me in it? Or is it just an old one? Because I know it's a classic one, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, that's from 8 years ago, so probably not that one. I'm a walking red flag. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. No, yeah, it's not the right one. It's all good though. Liz Harrington with the 5 mystery pasta says it. Yeah, I think it's what we're looking for is a collaboration I did with Dark Somnium. So we did a old school creepypasta called Baraska. And the first one turned out great with lots of cool characters and some voice acting and stuff. And the second one we went into pretty quick. But I'm not sure why he hasn't posted it yet. Maybe copyright? I have no idea, to be honest with you. But someone in chat mentioned it's out, so I was stoked. But Sag. Oh, well. Cacao Farmer with the 5 says, here you go, Joel. I'm at work, so I decided I'd gift you 10 minutes of my day. Hope you can buy some cacao or some mangoes. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. You want to go to the East Coast so bad? How come? You just want to see New York. I guess there's a lot of differences between the Northeast and the Southeast. East Coast is butt. Yeah. One day, I finished work at around 5, walked down the block to get some noodles from the good old Cantonese place. Then, when I was walking back to the apartment, I felt my cell phone buzzing in my pocket. It was Florian, and when I answered the call, he asked me in his typically dry tone for a favor. The location that they had in mind for that night's shoot was, in his words, unavailable, and to avoid having to reschedule the entire shoot, Florian wanted to know if he could use the apartment. He was very apologetic, promised it to be a one-time only thing, but told me that I'd have either to vacate my apartment for the evening or remain in my bedroom for the duration of the shoot. I told him it was no problem, especially if it was just a one-time deal, then told him that I'd meet him back at the apartment. About an hour later, Florian arrives with his 2 friends, one guy and one girl, and they have a bunch of what appeared to be equipment bags with them. The girl was small and attractive, and the guy was a little bit overweight and balding, and despite being American, both shared Florian's sort of art hipster vibe and were just as quiet and reserved as he was. Once they were ready to set it. You already know what's going to happen with this story. New Zealand is one day ahead of me. Yeah, I do believe. You guys get beautiful autumnal sceneries in the fall. We certainly do, yeah. It is pretty gorgeous. But it's weird because sometimes it's only for like a week. And then the leaves go from like a myriad of beautiful colors to just like brown and dying. And then begins the 6 months out of the year being darkness and cold, and the depression kicks in, and then you don't know what you're doing with your life, and all you can really do is eat and sleep and gain weight. It sucks. But that is if you do have a choice in the matter. You presumably can fight through it, but the lack of sun, especially whenever a lot of like winter time frame is very overcast. Oh, you love depressing winters? I don't, yeah, I really don't. I don't like the sense of hopelessness. Yeah, maybe I'm meant for the West Coast, who knows? We think I should study in London Speaking of sad East Coast winters, Joel, do we think I should study in London second semester this year? Study in London. Yeah, fuck it, dude. That sounds sick. If you can. If that's like an opportunity one can have, then do it, It could be a fun little thing and you get to talk about it forever. Maybe you meet some cool folks. As long as you stay safe. I hear London can be a bit dangerous with the gangs and whatnot. Actually, I think, was it London that bypassed like New York City and like violent crime in the past couple years, which was kind of random. Like you wouldn't expect it. can't stand winter. Give me 90 degrees all year round and I won't complain. I feel that, dude. Yeah, I want to go live in the Caribbean. I live in the deep desert. We don't have winters here. Yeah, I mean, they're neat. Oh, Liz, no worries. It's all good. Thank you for the 5. It's grey in the UK. Yeah, the UK is, I hear, quite grey. But it's also very beautiful as well, depending on where you're heading. You hate being depressed. Dude, I feel ya. It's kind of a shitty thing. It's like, you don't realize it's that until you get in the motions for too long, and then you're like, and as they say, what's Theo Von says, like, nothing changes if you don't change it, or whatever. I don't know. Or nothing changes if, nothing changes if nothing changes, you know? And it's like, it's true. It's like, unless you wake up one day and say, fuck it, I'm going to try this new thing, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to try to get, you know. And yeah, the gym does help. But man, I've been like hurting at the gym lately, and it makes me really mad. You want to stay in love with your sorrow. I know some people think like sorrow is sort of like a poetic thing to connect with or whatever, but I sort of hate that idea of like connecting with one's depression as sort of an identity piece, because it might feel artistic in some strange, abstract way, but I think it's really annoying. Like, especially the people that talk about their depression all the fucking time and don't do anything about it. And like, my first ever thought that I ever had when I was real little was how much I hated myself. And it's just like, oh my God. Shut up. Like, life, I don't know. Being human is about overcoming said bullshit, you know? Not to like sit and wallow in it like it's fucking a big mud pit. Yeah, it's definitely not healthy. It's hard to change with the same people around you. That's true, man. It's like, what do they say? If you, I'll show you the man. What does he say? I'll show you the man. Or show me a man's friends, and I will show you the man, or something like that. And it's like, you know, you are the company that you keep. So if you know, if you're part of a gang, you're probably going to die like a gang member, sadly. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to go lone wolf and focus on your goals. It's better to keep yourself and actually work on yourself to feel better. Yeah, for sure. Just every day, write down your goals, see how you're heading towards them. It's tough, you know, it is tough. You're not always going to be perfect with it. You're not always going to be like a David Goggins, you know, inspirational piece. But always keep it in your sights, you know. How do you find better people to associate with? Well, that's the tough part. Is like, you have to take a chance. And that's where the like nothing changes if nothing changes type thing comes in. It's like, you would have to find that community, hopefully of something you're interested in, whether it's like hiking or building or, I don't know, rock climbing group or a church group or, you know what I mean, the paintball group. You know, if like hanging out with the skaters all the time makes you want to smoke cigarettes and drink Red Bull till you're like, you have a heart murmur at the age of 20, then maybe don't do that, you know. Maybe hang out with the people who lift weights instead of skating. Once they were ready to set up, I grabbed my laptop and stuff and then started walking up to my room. The apartment had a small second floor when Florian asked if we could talk in private. I invited him in. Damn, dude, I'm all sorts of flubbed. Pradeep, I let you out, dude. I don't know what else you want. I invited him into my room, asked him what he wanted to talk about, and for the first time since I'd known him, Florian had some semblance of emotion on his face. Florian looked unusually concerned as he explained how some might consider his project to be, quote, unusual. It required complete immersion on the part of the cast and crew, which was why under no circumstance was I to leave my bedroom during the shoot. And this was around 8 p.m., and I was due to sleep at around 11, so I had no problem retiring to my room to play some Civ or just watch Netflix until I dozed off. Now, Florian said that that was good, because the shoot was going on until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, I wasn't all that excited at the prospect of having my sleep disturbed, but that led Florian to ask if I had a good pair of earplugs or some headphones that I could use to drown out the noise. But then that got me thinking, what kind of noise was he talking about? I half-jokingly asked if he was making an adult movie down there, and in his typically dry fashion, he said no, that was not the kind of movie he was making. And my curiosity was pretty truly piqued at this point, so I asked him what kind of noises I could expect to hear, and in response, Florian told me something I'll never forget. He told me, "You might hear some things that might frighten or disturb you, but I can assure you no matter what you hear, it is merely a simulation, and there's no reason for you to be alarmed." I asked Florian if he was making some kind of horror movie, and he said no. It wasn't a horror movie as such, but it did contain elements which some people might associate with horror films. Apparently, this is why it was so important that I wear headphones or earplugs, otherwise I might not be able to sleep. I told him as long as there wasn't any screaming, he'd be fine, and that's when Florian asked again if I wouldn't be happier just vacating the apartment until 1 a.m. Honestly, I was way too tired to head out to some bar and force myself to stay awake until 1, and since I had a good pair of noise-canceling headphones that I could use, I figured I'd just brave the noise and, at worst, stay up until the small hours watching movies extra loud until the shoot finally finished. And the plan worked perfectly for a while, and for the first hour or so, I didn't even have to switch on the noise-canceling setting on my headset. I actually had it switched to ambient aware because by that point I was honestly so curious as to what kind of noises Florian was worried about me hearing. I figured there'd be yelling, probably some screaming after Florian's soft admission, and I just severely underestimated the kind of screams I'd be hearing, as well as the effect they'd have on me. Now, I'd been playing Civ 5 for about an hour and change before I started to hear the first noises coming from downstairs. It was the sound of a woman sobbing, like these drawn-out sounds. And since Florian had already told me that she was an actress, the sound only made me uncomfortable, not frightened or disturbed. And I switched my headphones to noise canceling and turned up the background music on my game and found the combination instantly drowned out the sobbing noises. I think that lasted for maybe 20 to 30 minutes until eventually I started to hear another kind of sound, one so loud it started to cut through the noise canceling feature on my headphones. I reached up to the speaker covering my right ear and lifted it, and then instantaneously Joel's a narrator, not a psychologist, remember that? Oh, that's true too, yeah, I mean, definitely don't take what I say as like medical advice or anything like that. Yeah, nutrition. All right, yeah. Jeez. Did I say something bad? What did I do? Do you get notifications when we join them on two separate devices and I never know how I'm presented? No, it doesn't notify when people join. You took my advice to the CDC. Yeah, you're going to report me to YouTube health quarters. You told people to go outside and touch grass. You'll be coming with us. Why didn't you tell them to take a pill instead? Touch grass and eat ass. Have you ever been swatted? I hope not, man. Please don't do that. Made it to episode 226 on Pandora. I'm almost with all the episodes. Nice, dude. Thank you. I'm glad we got the podcast all over there. Yeah, I don't know what I said to upset anybody. I guess I said, like, I don't like to hear about people's depression all the time. But it's not that I don't like to hear about it. It's just, like, it's more from my perspective. Like, if I sat there and, like, every day of my life told my friend, you know, that I was down in the blumps or whatever, you know, for lack of better words, like, eventually that's going to, like, weigh on somebody, you know what I mean? And if it eventually also becomes, like, a weird part of my, like, identity, you know? Like, I guarantee you that friend that I had probably will eventually, like, distance themselves from me because it's too much, you know what I mean? Like, therapists are there, but even that's a lot for, like, a therapist too, to, like, constantly hear about negative things all the time. That I'm sure for, like, some of them, their brain, they probably start to shut that shit off in their brain eventually and just kind of go through the motions. But yeah, you know, basically all I was saying was that you should try to think about life more so in a let's move forward, you know, level up type sense rather than stay down in it. And don't let it, you know what I mean? Don't let it become who you are, because it's not a positive thing is what I'm trying to say. I think that's pretty clear. Shake for Joel. I need to take some fucking Mucinex or some shit to get this crap out of my lungs. You can see people keeping their distance from around them, feel negative vibes. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. And obviously there's something that, like, he needs some assistance with, but, you know, sometimes it might just require, like, telling him the truth or whatever. Like, hey, listen, no one else is going to tell you this, so I'm going to tell you this. I care about you, and I need you to come with me to swimming practice. I don't even know. Should the chat be masked up right now? Yeah, if you guys are in here, there is a possibility that you can get digital COVID from me. So I hope you're wearing 16 masks to the point where, like, you can just barely breathe. Otherwise, you could get very electronically ill. Self-discovery, exploring, get out there and find positives or something. And that's 100% true. I mean, it's hard, though. You know, I'm not saying it's not hard. Well, actually, is it hard? That's the question. You know, like, Bilbo left his hobbit house, right? I'm going on an adventure. And, you know, always, was it J.R.R. Tolkien saying, like, the first start of an adventure begins with the first step. That might not have been him, but, I mean, it really just starts. Imagine what that would feel like to take your first step in the direction of bettering yourself, you know? It's much better than your bed. As a therapist, you kind of do go into autopilot. Well, yeah, I feel like that's how it has to be, because you can't, in the same way that, like, government officials can't physically understand the plight of common man, you know what I mean? Because they don't live common lives and they don't have the ability to comprehend everybody's issues. But most of the time they just, like, sit there and say, like, ha-lu, ha-la-ha. And a holla hoo, did that make everyone feel better? Taxes, equality. And I'm not saying that's how therapists are, because it's a little bit more nuanced and you're meeting one-on-one, but I mean, just an individual's ability as a therapist to like compartmentalize everyone's like darkest traumas or evil things they've done, I don't think a normal human being is meant to experience that per se. Some, but you definitely like carry the weight of all of those people's stories around in your subconscious without even realizing it. I think I might be making that up, but I reached up to the speaker covering my right ear, lifted it up, and then instantaneously recoiled when I heard the sound that I'd been shielded from. The girl downstairs, actress or not, was letting out the single most blood-curdling scream I'd ever heard. I could hear the exact... Sorry. It's crazy to think I've been using this little remote for recording for like so many years. It's still good. It's very simple. The girl downstairs, actress or not, was letting out the single most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard. I could hear the exact moment she ran out of breath as the scream kind of weakened and died, and then she started up again right after with yet another ear-splitting screech. She did this over and over, and at one point I clearly heard someone yelling louder at her, but I couldn't tell if it was Florian or his friend. I knew it wasn't for real. I knew it was just an act, but there was something about that lady's scream that set my teeth on edge. I could only sit there listening to it for a minute or two before I secured my headphones over my ears and just pumped up the volume on my laptop even further and tried my best to forget it was even happening. I tried my best to just focus on playing this game, but I could still hear those nails on a chalkboard style screams, and they might have been very faint, but I could still hear them if I focused my attention on them over the music coming from my headphones, and the only way to completely drown. Also, I was, that game, Animal Well, by Dunkey and Billy Basso, or whatever his name is. Very talented man. Star Wars Outlaws or nah. Well, the thing about Star Wars Outlaws is, like, it does graphically look okay, but, like, the gameplay I saw where people had that, like, 4 hours of hands-on preview or whatever, it looked like dog shit. Like, it just, like, was sort of like an old-school version of Uncharted, where you do a little bit of stealth, and then you do some, like, really lackluster, like, unsatisfying, like, on-rails shooting, and then you get back to, like, some stealth, and, like, I don't know, it looked kind of like an open world, Uncharted game, which some people might find that enjoyable within the realm of Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it just looked like a very dry, kind of boring game. Jade, it's your birthday tomorrow. Give me a blessing. God bless you, my friend, and happy B-Day. The only way to completely drown them out by then was to boost up my volume in my headphones to like 100, but that got so loud that it started to actually hurt my ears, so it wasn't sustainable for more than a few minutes before I had to lower the volume again. Thankfully, the screams had petered out altogether by the time it came to lowering my headphone volume, and I got to spend the next few minutes in relative peace before I suddenly started to hear the sound of frantic begging creeping through the music in my ears. Once again, I lifted my headphone. Man, how am I not able to get this? I don't understand, like, how I mispronounce words as I read them. Can you post your shop? I hope my coloring page can help sadness and severe horniness. Sure, yeah, wait, Fry, what's in the shop again that you're posting? Fry does really good art, guys, and he has a shop, but I just want to make sure it's not, like, not safe for work or whatever, because YouTube might like flag that as such. How long have I lived on the East Coast? I grew up in Pennsylvania. It's a coloring page on Etsy. Okay, so no like naked man butts or anything like that. Do you ever let your mods promote your loyal listeners share their spot? Or what are you saying? Do you ever let your mods promote your loyal listeners share their spot? What do you mean? Okay, no man butts. Alright, yeah, go ahead, post it, Fry, if it lets you. Warren, Pennsylvania? Nice, dude. Awesome. Anything cool happening out in Warren? Any new deers? Any new gray wolf spottings or coyotes? What's up, Wendy? Oh, promote your channel. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, what kind of channel? Is it yours? Because people can click on your name and go to your channel if that's where you want them to go. Yeah, the Australian trip was good. Happy to be home, and honestly, I don't know if I would ever really return to that far away, just because it was like, unless I went with somebody. Oh, there you go, Fries. Sweet. So it's just like coloring books and stuff. Fry made a kid's book. What happened last Sunday? Oh, it was just a compilation day, so no new content. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been to Warren, PA before, but I definitely heard of it. I believe the stories I tell. I guess about as much as everybody else. No frowns on the Twitter. No butts. Traveler on my way home with the Big Ten says, thank you, Joe. I've been enjoying the efforts of your labor for years. Suggestion, add nature and ambience, crickets, trees in the wind, rain, thunder with your narrations, please. Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah. I definitely could give that a whirl. That'd be sweet. Or at least ask my one sound designer to integrate something like that in there. But thank you for the 10. Yeah, go check out Survival Girls page if you guys want. It'd be sweet. Support each other. Once again, I lifted my headphones and, once again, I heard some skin-crawlingly convincing acting from the lady downstairs. Only this time, she wasn't screaming. She was begging through tears and shallow breaths. She kept saying, no, please, God, no, and other variations on that theme, and she did it non-stop for about 14 straight minutes. I guess talking loudly was easier on her vocal cords than balls-to-the-wall screaming, but that allowed her to do it unceasingly for way longer than she screamed for. Again, I was thankful that I was able to just drown it out without deafening myself with the music from the game that I was playing, but somehow, all the begging got to me even worse than the screams did. And I swear to God, even with Florian's warning that the whole thing was just acting, every fiber of my being wanted to make her stop. I guess it bothered me in this sort of deep, lizard brain kind of way. Something passed down from our ancestors, that means when you hear someone begging for their life or screaming in agony, it's impossible to just sit there and ignore it. And that's why, even when I couldn't hear the girl begging and sobbing anymore, I could still sort of feel it, you know? The screams came and went for another few hours, then around 10:30, I decided to take a shower and to try and get some sleep. Both upstairs bedrooms were fitted with attached bathrooms, another perk of living there, so I got to drown out the noises with a podcast and running water while I got clean. But then, Once I got out of the shower, there was a brief window where I had to get my hair dry before putting my headphones back on, and in that time, I heard the most disturbing thing yet. I was still listening to my podcast, and I'd picked probably the loudest person possible to listen to, shout out to Tim Dillon, but as I was drying my hair, I started to hear what sounded like all three people chanting downstairs. I was kind of curious as to what they were chanting, so I walked over to my phone and lowered the volume on my podcast and heard, "Hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan," getting louder and louder. And they sure must have been talented actors because they were giving it everything they had, wailing those words. It's kind of awesome that they listen to Tim Dillon. Tim's freaking funny. Maybe it's like an intercostal thing from coughing so much. Because it's like when I take a deep breath, my back hurts. So I wonder. Oh, man. You going to bed, lovely? Oh, man. It's fucking annoying. I feel like stuffed up but dry at the same time. This shit's lame. Epsom salt in a hot shower? That sounds cool. God, my back hurts so fuck. I can't even bend over. Trapped air. Maybe. Do I smoke weed? No. It'd probably just make it way worse with all the smoke and whatnot. I know. I didn't give the virus consent, and yet here it is, proliferating itself deep within my cells. Do you have one of those Theragun things? I do, yeah. The only time it ever was good though was when I can really get to whatever I'm trying to get to. Whenever I had really sore biceps the one time, I was able to use the Theragun to the point that it released my biceps. Say the Jesus prayer. Dear Jesus, please fucking make me good. This shit's annoying. Hey, Jacob Bowling with the 2. Thank you, bro. Good to see you. How you doing? Amen. I rebuke you. I rebuke thee, sickness and boogers in my nose. Well, they sure must have been talented actors because they were giving it everything they had, wailing those 2 words again and again like they were in total ecstasy. I ended up lying on my bed, headphones on, blasting myself with some YouTube playlist called Relaxing Ambient Music that ended up being neither relaxing nor ambient. And when 1 a.m. rolled around and everything finally went quiet, I literally whispered, "Thank you, Jesus," out loud to myself before finally drifting off. And the next morning, I felt kind of groggy after getting less than 6 hours sleep, but as my brain booted up in the shower, I remembered all the screaming and chanting from the night before. I couldn't really be mad at Florian because he'd warned me a whole 2 times to vacate the apartment, and besides, there were much worse things than him owing me a favor. As I mentioned earlier, Florian and I rarely bumped into each other, so it was days before I got a chance to ask him about the screaming. And when I did, he gave me about as dry an answer as you can imagine. He apologized profusely for the disturbance, both literally and figuratively, but was also quick to remind me of the warning I'd been given. He said the screams and the chanting for what he called ADR, or Automated Dialogue Replacement, which is basically when you dub audio over a movie to make it sound better. No one was being threatened, imitated, or hurt in any way, and the lady in question was just a very talented actress. If the sounds she made disturbed me, then it simply meant that she'd put in a good performance and nothing more. This was obviously quite reassuring, I guess, but my main objective was to get a second assurance that it wouldn't happen again, and if it absolutely had to, then to give me advanced warning so I could book a hotel or something. And he agreed, and I thanked him, and that was that. Now, not even 2 weeks went by before Florian asked me for a second favor. I had a feeling it'd be related to using the apartment for his work, and lo and behold, I was right. He opened his pitch by telling me that he was more than happy to pay for a night in a hotel, but that after a studio had pulled out on him, he'd been left with nowhere to shoot. I told him it wasn't necessary for him to pay for a room, that I could maybe find a place to stay, and even if I didn't, I was perfectly happy to pay for my own hotel room. Florian then gave me the date of his shoot, which was a couple of days away on a Friday evening. I happened to have been dating at the time, and it was just around the stage where it'd be acceptable for me to propose a kind of sleepover, if you will. And I proposed as such, and she accepted, so I had that Friday evening covered. I had no reason whatsoever to return to my apartment until, of course, I realized that I'd forgotten part of my laptop charger, the plug part that connects to the little box thing, and there'd be no starve-together LAN party unless I returned to the apartment to grab it. I briefly considered proposing a movie date instead, but the girl I was dating had seemed super excited to play, so I thought screw it, and then caught the train back towards Brooklyn. Wait, Brooklyn? What was the first part they... I thought... Wasn't the one place they were from, like... I thought it was a place in, like, the well... Did I read that wrong? I don't even know what the fuck. I can't even find the fucking previous location. Now I'm lost on even where my spot is. Whatever. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I briefly considered proposing a movie date instead, but the girl I was dating had seemed super excited to play, so I thought, screw it, and then caught the train back. I figured it'd be an hour at most, and that once I got back, we could get down to our LAN date. Plus, I called Florian in advance and gave him prior notice that I needed to stop the shooting for all of 30 seconds maximum, and then be off the hook for any interruptions. I texted Florian as I was walking to the subway, but then he didn't reply, and I gave him a call. Oh, Bushwick. Okay, Bushwick is in Brooklyn. Okay, it's a part of Brooklyn. That's weird, I never heard of Bushwick for some reason. A neighborhood in northern part of New York City borough of Brooklyn. Interesting. Oh, this is my full-time gig. It is, yeah. I mean, the streams for the most part are just kind of fun, but I make the living off of the videos and podcasts and stuff. Yeah, Bushwick. For some reason, Bushwick sounds like a place in, like, yeah, Australia or some shit. He made the best minced meat I've ever made today, but because I don't measure the seasonings, I'll never be able to eat it again, and it makes me sad. Oh. I'm sure you could just play it based on taste again, see if you can get back there. You've heard of Brunswick, but not Bushwick. Yeah, I think... Bushwick, New York. edgy, and increasingly hip, Bushwick is an evolving industrial area marked by an imaginative street art and converted warehouses that are home to art studios and artisanal coffee shops. As if you've never heard of a city that's converted industrial park into fucking apartments. I love that. I feel like eventually, like, hipsters are just gonna start gentrifying the fucking sewage pipes. Not even the mole people can escape their artisanal breads and coffees. Have I tried? Steam. Yeah, I do have like a, what's it called? Like a fucking humidifier, which kind of like turns water into steam. Maybe I should bring that down here and You hate hipsters. Me too, dude. I just hate that hipsters always think they know everything about everything. It's so fucking annoying. And like, what happened to Portlandia? Do you guys remember the show Portlandia? In Portlandia, they made fun of all the hipster bullshit, like, nonstop. And then, like, over the course of the past, like, decade, the show just, like, disappeared, when I feel like it would have been perfect timing for it, you know what I mean? Because there was, like, such a increase in, like, hipster ideology, like, throughout America, that I feel like now would be the perfect time to make fun of them. Animal Collective. I was listening to Animal Collective before they were cool. I texted Florian as I was walking to the subway, then, when he didn't reply, I gave him a call once I was back in Bushwick. He didn't pick up on the first call, so I tried again, only for that one to ring out, too. And I figured that he was busy and his phone was set to Do Not Disturb or whatever, so I texted him a second time saying that I was minutes away from the apartment and would only be interrupting him for like a minute max. Again, I got no reply, and I was kind of worried that my intrusion might cause some kind of issue between me and him. And at the same time, I was thinking, I pay my rent, I'm a good roommate, I can be in and out in 30 seconds with a few apologies, and then if Florian's mad, well, I can just deal with that issue as and when it comes. A few seconds later, I'm at my apartment building, walking to the elevator, then a minute more, I was at my door. Since I don't want to disturb too much, I start knocking on the door. I had my key ready, but just like with the texts and calls, I wanted to give Florian as much advance notice as possible. I knocked once, got no answer, and then tried calling. Yeah, it was like tongue-in-cheek making fun of hipsters, but also was hipster. I know, because it was fun, because it was like the characters lived in that world. And it's like, where did the show go? Like, it would have been the perfect time to, like, poke fun. Eras of hipsters, though, like the college radio hipsters of the early 2000s, are not like the lefty hipsters of today. Yeah, because like the lefty hipsters of today are so militaristic, you know what I mean? Because I feel like back whenever I was younger in college and stuff, the people that they called like hipsters, you know, like 2000, I was in college, like 2008 to 2012, and like the people that they called hipsters were not like, they were not militant in their beliefs of anything. Like if they believed in something, whatever niche concept it might be, they like believed it with like a peace sign or like a smile on their face or whatever. And now it seems like hipsters nowadays are just like, I don't know, maybe addicted to cocaine or something, because they are so fucking psycho with their perspectives. There's really no discussions allowed to be had. You're 22. I'm 34. My dog, the Where's Waldo hipsters. Yeah, we need to bring them back. The peaceful hipsters. Amy with a 10 is struggling to advance my career to make better money for financial freedom. I'm lost and stressed at my limit. Suggestions. Feel like I can't live because money is so tight. Huh. Maybe, I mean, is there like a job that you could apply for that you feel might actually be like outside of your, perceived capabilities? You know what I mean? Because maybe you could just like take a chance and apply for something like that makes more that you didn't otherwise think that you would get a chance to, and maybe the opportunity would open itself that way by just throwing it out there. A financial advisor, no. Yeah. This technically isn't financial advice. It's just like give it a whirl advice. Isn't it true that most men are in their primes when they hit their 30s? I guess it depends on what you call the prime. Like, there's a possibility that, like, men could hit a point in their 30s where they are making good money and at, like, a state of peak attractiveness, I guess you could say, to the majority of like women, I guess, within that like circle of like 20s and 30s. So like that could be a potential, I guess, conceptually. But obviously the person like still has to like try and like make their career and stay in shape or whatever. But yeah, freelance work is definitely an option as well. Take a chewable airborne? What's that? What kind of niche I can do to make money on YouTube? I can't keep doing retail. It's such a soul killer. Yeah, you just might have to find... Maybe you can like compile videos and just commentate over them, Maybe it could be cute videos. Cute video compilation 68. And it's just like, today's video is the cutest puppy you'd ever done seen from TikTok user Melanie Pumpkin Nose. This puppy has a funny little bell, and it's as small as a flower. Girls never found you attractive till you hit your 30s. Strange. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you just like, there's a certain degree of confidence that you've received too, which obviously, everybody loves confidence, Yeah. Do Nair tutorials. Just like video after video of just Nair tutorial. Finally, chewable airborne orange flavor, no generic replacement. Drink, take the chewable. Okay. I'll have to look into that. Financial advice, lower your standards. Do not try to keep up with the Jonases. It's perfectly okay to be mediocre. Yeah, I guess that's fine too. But I think it's good to, like, if you really do desire, something beyond what you would feel is mediocre, then it's good to, like, really sit down and just, like, jot down some ideas, What's up, Mia? How we doing? I think I aged better. All the dudes I went to school with ended up being fat and bald. Yeah. Usually goes that way, huh? No, it's good to stay as in shape as you can, I knocked once, got no answer, then tried calling Florian one last time. He sent that one straight to voicemail, so I knew that I was trying to... God damn it. So I knew that he knew. Oh, God. Oh, this story's so... Oh, wait, we're getting close. I was like, it's so long, but we're actually... He sent that one straight to voicemail, so I knew that he knew that I was trying to get in touch with him. And that's when I started to get a little annoyed. At least work with me, Don't just ignore my calls. I get that he was busy, but he literally could have just grabbed my laptop cable, opened up the door, and given it to me, and hey presto, he's back to his shoot. But he didn't. He actively ignored me. So after a minute of waiting for a call or text, I took out my key and opened up my apartment's front door. The first thing I noticed upon closing the door behind me was that someone had taped a bunch of clear plastic sheeting all over the place. They were on all the floors. They were on all the floors, on the walls, and there were strips hanging between open doorways like they were supposed to be flimsy replacements. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And then I started calling out for Florian. The second I called out, I started hearing heavy footsteps coming towards the apartment's entrance hallway. They were walking with urgency, so right away I'm thinking, uh-oh. And I'm halfway to unleashing a string of apologies when 2 masked men stepped into view. They looked like nightclub security or something. Black suits, black shoes, black shirts, and black ties, all very well fitted. And the only difference was, these guys had these matte black masks on, real thick plastic by the looks of things, and the moment they saw me, they started power walking in my direction. And I'm like, wait, who the hell are you guys? But they didn't say anything. They lunged towards me, gripped me up, and then the next thing I know, they're slamming me down onto the floor so hard it knocked the wind out of me. I'm lying there for a moment trying to catch my breath, then when the fight comes back to me, I'm trying my best to buck them off, and I'm failing miserably. The whole time I'm yelling at the 2 guys, who at the F are you doing? Get the hell off of me. But again, they just completely ignore me and start yelling, intruder. I'm like, I'm not an intruder. I live here. And right then, I hear the crackle of a stun gun before I feel this intense pain shooting up my leg, and suddenly, I can't move or talk anymore. I tried to carry on fighting when I realized that I could move again, but I was so frazzled from that stun gun that I felt like it had... Jesus. Spaghetti. Hey, Tracy, thank you. A journeyman lineman is a great skill-based career. Myself am one, and so is my husband. FYI, I am female. Okay. Hey, Vane, how we doing? Oh my gosh. My back is dying. At least I'm not sitting down, because that would be making things, like, way worse. The shitty thing is I can't even, like, bend over to stretch. Oh my god. Dude. I got my back blown out, yeah. I mean, I'm standing, so it's, like, nice, but, yeah, I don't know. It's so frustrating, because it's, like, earlier the fucking thing that I was mentioning where it, like, pushes into my... I can't even think, dude. Pushes into my psoas muscle. That, like, helped, but then it like, doesn't help. It, like, goes back to being tight. I don't know. Fuck me, dude. Because it's not even, like, you know how, like, sometimes you get the twinge, like it's, you hit a nerve or something that's being protected, like there's something that's injured. This is just like a weird, I don't even know. Okay. Never seen Deadpool? Not yet. I want to. It looks awesome. I tried to carry on fighting when I realized that I could move again, but I was so frazzled from the stun gun that I felt like it had drained my battery or something. There was nothing left in my tank, and all I could do was just lie there while those 2 heavies had me pinned, and wait until I had another opportunity to escape. I was still yelling for them to get off of me when someone down in the apartment's open sitting area, who I couldn't see, asked in a very authoritative voice tone what was going on. I immediately went quiet. Then one of the 2 masked men repeated the same word, intruder. And the person who spoke whose voice I didn't recognize, then told them, quote, "Remove me." The two heavies immediately dragged me into the hallway outside the apartment, dumped me on the ground, then went back inside and closed the door behind them. I was like, what the hell just happened? And then after I picked myself up, my first instinct was to call the cops. Something was going on in my apartment, and whatever it was, it didn't seem like any kind of movie set or whatever. And the first thought was that it was some kind of home invasion, but then what was with all the clear plastic sheeting? They reminded me of something from Forensic Files or Hostel or something, or the kind of... Joel Vereen. Oh my god, I can't even breathe. I think honestly from coughing all week, my back actually hurts. That's crazy. I don't know if it just strained something all of a sudden from coughing so much, but I can't even breathe without it fucking hurting. Holy shit, it's like the diaphragm pushes on something that... Dude. What the fuck? I feel like an old man, dude. This sucks. Can't even barely move. Holy shizzers. Sorry. A rib out. Oh man, that would suck. One of my ribs. Someone stole them. Made an Eve. Drink tequila. Yeah, that'll do it. They reminded me of something from Forensic Files or Hostel, or the kind the Mexican cartels use in those kill houses, so the walls and floors aren't soaked with blood. So what freaked me out so much that... And that's what freaked me out so much that when I called the cops, I wasn't like, I'm pissed. And those guys are going, God damn it. Oh my god. Let me just fucking read. Without fucking stopping. Look up pulmonary edema. I mean, I definitely had pulmonary edema in the sense that I had fluid on my lungs. That's where it all started. But it's not like it's refilling anymore or anything like that. I should have took the fucking Mucinex earlier. Yeah, but I'm I don't know. I know I'm close to getting older or whatever, but I'm not it wasn't like this a couple days ago. A pneumothorax. I feel like I would know if my lung collapsed, you know what I mean? Maybe not, though. That would suck. That's what freaked me out so much that when I called the cops, I wasn't like, I'm pissed and those guys are going to pay. It was more like something terrible is happening up there in my apartment and it's down to me to stop it. Yeah, I was angry at those two masked men for body slamming me and tasing me, but it wasn't like they were two crackheads who broke my nose after stealing my laptop. Another true story. The way those guys were dressed, the masks, all the plastic sheeting. They were security for something that was going on in there, something no one was allowed to see. And in my humble opinion, that can't have been anything good and legal. In fact, screw legal. I've had neighbors growing pot back before it was legalized, and all the power to them. It's not hurting anybody. But whatever I just walked into, it sure as hell looked like someone was either getting or was about to get hurt, and really badly too. The cops took a whole 20 minutes to get to me, and that's with the dispatcher telling me that mine was a priority call. They followed me up to my apartment, opened the door for them, and I was right in the middle of telling them about all the plastic sheeting when we saw it was all gone. Both cops gave me a disappointed look as if to say, we didn't have you down for a schizophrenic. And then right as I'm explaining how it was there not even 20 minutes ago, Florian appears with an explanation. He'd thrown a party, a rather exclusive one, and the 2 security guards his guests had employed had just been a little overzealous when it came to unexpected guests. According to Florian, there was never any plastic sheeting or black masks, and he wasn't sure what I was talking about in that respect. And what he was sure of was that he and his guests were profusely sorry for the confusion and that they were... Your ribs pop out often? Really? Why are people's ribs falling out? The freaking wheels falling off. I need some scissor. Sip. Some prednisone. Did you ever host nursing students as a nurse? I think some of them would shadow me or whatever here and there. But it was not frequent, I don't think. But what he was sure of was that he and his guests were profusely sorry for the confusion, and that they wished to extend their sympathies for the inconvenience. I was angry. Like, inconvenience? I was just assaulted. But then I noticed something else. Florian was showing more emotion and sincerity with the cops than he'd ever shown me. His natural state was dry and sarcastic, but with those 2 NYPD officers, he was like the most articulate and passionate person ever. And that's when it hit me. He wasn't being sincere. He was acting. The cops wanted to know who the 2 security guys were and the ones who ended up assaulting me, but Florian claimed that they were provided by an anonymous guest and that he had no idea who they were or where they'd been hired from. The only 2 people Florian knew, according to him anyways, were his male and female friend, both of whom would be happy to answer any question the cops had. When asked why all the guests had scattered before they arrived, Florian told the 2 officers that they were incredibly embarrassed at the confusion. He also seemed like he was being totally honest when he said that, with his guests knowing their security would be in trouble with the cops, and they walked out of the apartment building's back door to where their cars were waiting. I could see through... Sip in. He kicked a student doctor in the face. Jesus Louises. What did he do to you? Fractured my foot and he bent down to check it out, but I lifted my foot up as he was bending down and kicked him in the chin. That's funny. And he was like, do it again. I could see through Florian's bullcrap, and somehow, by the time the 2 officers were leaving, they seemed convinced that Florian was an apologetic. They seemed convinced that Florian was as apologetic as he said he was, and that it was all just some big misunderstanding. After the cops left and I asked Florian what had been going on the previous night, he changed his tone completely. He said I had no right to know what had been going on, and that I shouldn't have come back to the apartment when I'm told. He said I had no right to know what had been going on, and that I shouldn't have come back to the apartment when I'd told him I'd stay away all night. He also added God damn it, can I just make it through one fucking sentence? He also added, in a way I found incredibly... Jesus Christ. He also added, in a way I found incredibly chilling, that I should consider myself lucky that nothing worse happened to me. And I couldn't believe the sudden switch-up. He put on such a good act for the cops that when he turned, it was like seeing him transform or shapeshift or something like that. He told me he wanted me to move out, and I told him I was planning on it, and then I spent the next few days searching for other places to live before finally finding one that suited my budget. I was lucky though. I found somewhere decent pretty quick, and to be frank, I was close to living in my car because I did not feel safe around Florian anymore. And to this day, I don't know what he and his friends were doing up there, and actually, I kinda don't want to know either. And that wasn't always the case. I used to spend many an hour trying to figure out what he was really doing because, whatever it was, I didn't think it was anything even remotely innocent. I kept trying to get in touch with the other two cops I dealt with to see if there had been any updates, but it quickly became clear that they weren't remotely interested at all, and that they figured that I was some gate crasher who probably just got what was Gate crasher? What the fuck is that? Inglés. What's up, Squawker? Squawky McSquawkingstein. I'm definitely feeling better, but Jesus, man, I don't know. It's just so annoying. Like, anywhere I go to fucking, like, slightly bend over, and it's like, the lower back just, like, flares up. I can't even move. Fuck. Try to pull up or two, Joel, if it feels better to breathe. It was a rib out. If no change, something else is wrong. I shoot bow. My ribs like to move. Oh, yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Like exercise, like doing weightlifting. That'd be weird. A rib out. I guess coughing all the time could do that too, maybe. Did you ever see coffee growing on the tree? I don't think so. I always thought it was monkeys that pooped it out. But it quickly became clear they weren't remotely interested, and that they figured that I was some gate crasher who'd probably got what was coming to him. At least, that was the vibe I got. Because after all, this is New York City. What the fuck are you doing? Pretty's like scratching the shit out of stuff. At least, that was the vibe I got. Because after all, this is New York City. A place where there's a major crime every 4 minutes. But if the walls of that apartment could talk, I bet they'd tell some truly terrifying tales, and these days, I'm happy not hearing a single goddamn one of them. Alright, holy fuck, that was a long-ass story. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take some fucking snot medicine. Guys, if I died, would you guys still watch my videos? Okay, I appreciate that. Because at least I have a fallback plan if I'm dead. Like, say they don't have any jobs in heaven. I could just be a YouTuber. Do you guys think YouTubers go to heaven? Probably not, right? Feeling magical. You don't see how. Yeah, me neither, man. Yeah, every YouTuber's like right outside the gates. You want my YouTube account? I'll think about it. Is it COVID or a respiratory thing? I don't know. I took some... So basically what happens, I took some peptides to increase HGH or whatever. And then I woke up the next day with like fluid in my lungs. And then it got like infected. Or, I got like normal sick from there. It's just taking forever to go away. Also, wasn't like Jake Paul supposed to fight Mike Tyson in July? Oh, dude, it's August 1st. What the fuck? Took steroids and found out it's not steroids. But get the fluid drained out. What, in my lungs? I'm supposed to have someone tap my body. Joel versus Pacquiao. Oh my god. Good suggestions on promoting music. Promoting music. Maybe you could start an Among Us page and then ride the success of that for your music. Do I listen to my own stories? I don't know. Back in 2009, when I had just turned 22, one of my best friends since childhood met a girl on Facebook. Dean was a bit of a trailblazer in many respects because back then, we thought of him having a Facebook girlfriend as pretty sad, whereas nowadays, meeting on dating apps or sliding into DMs on social media is a totally normal way for couples to find each other. We used to joke about her being a catfish before catfishing was even really a thing. We didn't use that exact term, but there were a lot of jokes about Louise turning out to be a Lewis about 3 times. A Louise turning out to be a Lewis of 3 times is a of 3 times. Liz Harrington, good night. Thank you for the 2. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. My lungs versus, yeah. I wouldn't make it to round 1. Wouldn't even make it up on stage. Do I believe in Bigfoot? Yeah, for sure. 100% Bigfoot's real. I seen him. I is him. What's up, Grand? How we doing? We didn't use that exact term, but there were a lot of jokes about Louise turning out to be a Lewis who was 3 times his age. It turns out Louise was a real person, and damn, I can't even, formulate my fucking words. Turns out, Louise was a real person, and when we met her, we understood why Dean was so smitten. They seemed perfectly matched for one another, and within about 18 months of them getting together, Dean announced that he was moving down to These stupid fucking places, man. Bournemouth. Just call it someplace cool, like Jacksonville. Bournemouth. Bournemouth. Fucking laziest word ever. We were gutted to see him go because Bournemouth is a 7-hour drive from where we grew up in Durham. Durham. Favorite cryptid? Probably the scrag. The squiggly scrag. It's in Pennsylvania. We were gutted. No, fuck me. God damn it. They seemed perfectly matched for one another, and within about 18 months of them getting together, Dean announced that he was moving down to Bournemouth so they could be closer. We were gutted to see him go because Bournemouth is a 7-hour drive from where we grew up in Durham, and without a car, it wasn't like he could pop home whenever he liked because the trains took even longer and the fares were outrageous. Since Louise lived with her mom and brother, Dean started looking for flats down in Bournemouth, and then when he got a bit of money saved up and had somewhere to live, off he went. We later found out that he'd moved into a shared apartment just outside of the city center and that he quickly found a job as a kitchen porter, so he didn't burn through too much of his savings. His job was all right, his relationship was flourishing, and the only thing stopping him from getting a flat with his girlfriend was the fact that she didn't have a job yet. On top of that, his new flatmate sounded like a sound fellow, too. The only thing was, Dean wasn't very forthcoming when it came to information about him. As you can imagine, he was very proud of himself for having landed on his feet in the way that he did. He told us all about his new job, all about how nice his new neighborhood was, and he briefly touched on how cool his new flatmate was. They'd have a drink together, have a smoke together, watch horror movies together, but when we asked what he did for a living, or what he looked like, or what he was interested in, Dean was suddenly all vague or one-worded answers. We just put it down to him still being new in the area, and it's not good manners not to pry into people's lives, is it? And regardless, we were pleased that he was doing well, even if it did mean seeing less of him. Anyway, about 6 weeks go by, and Dean ends up inviting us down to Bournemouth for the weekend. We were about 23 to 24 at the time, meaning that we didn't have a lot of cash to throw around on hostels, and damn, I said hostel. YouTube is fired. Dude, YouTube doesn't notify anybody of the live stream anymore. It's fucking lame. Hawk doesn't get notifications. Nobody gets nobody gets notifications for the fucking live streams. The one thing that you want to fucking be at when it happens. Because who knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Then you can talk and shit. I don't know. I don't know why it's like, what did I do? I talked about the Illuminati like one time. Oh, Joel's dangerous. Joel's a danger to society. Don't tell anybody. We were all about 23 or 24 at the time, meaning that we didn't have a lot of cash to throw around on hotels and all that, but Dean's like, no brother, just crash at my place. And we drove down on that Friday morning and got there in the late afternoon, then went looking for Dean's flat out near a place called Bosco. Oh my god. I'm gonna fucking throw myself into a into a pile of water for how many stupid places from the UK I have to... Boscombe. Shut up. The Queen probably named that stupid shit. You're right. Aliens are a conspiracy. Everything that deviates from the state-driven narrative is evil and should not be spoken of. I am perfect. I am good. I am exactly like Pokimane. And who else is a good little perfect person? Scooter? The big YouTuber named Scooter? That's me. I believe it all. And I would never question a single thing in my entire life. Or even dream of talking about it. Okay, now send me more viewers. Come on. Hurry up. I got stuff to do. Played a certain clip about the mix, and they seem to try... What are you talking about? Still one of the best vaporwave mixes I've ever worked on, and the damn thing is taken down. That's lame. Going to Manosphere podcast. What would I even talk about? So, had any sex lately? Huh? Have you had sex? Have you had sex and have you started your business? If you haven't started a business and had sex, what the fuck? Did you get up at 4:30 a.m.? Did you run through the woods with a really heavy weighted vest on? Oh, you didn't? Well, I guess you're gay. Huh. What's Manosphere? It's just like guys talking about how to be the coolest dude on the world. Man. I can't take a deep breath or my fucking ribs hurt, dude. Gowed. If you don't dip into black Arctic waters at 3 a.m., you aren't going to make it. It's not happening. You might as well just call it quits and go work at the dirt factory. Ice baths. No. I remember I tried taking like cold showers and stuff. They acted like that would somehow matter. It's like the worst experience ever. Work at Shein or Temu. I might have the plague. I'm hoping it's gone by tomorrow. We drove down on Friday morning, got there in the late after... Fuck, man. We drove down on Friday morning, got there in the late afternoon, and then went looking for Dean's flat out near a place called Boscombe. We found it no problem. Our mutual friend beeped his horn when we were outside, then we had an ecstatic reunion in the car park of his apartment block. We hadn't seen Dean in nearly 2 months, so we were over the moon to be reunited. But after he invited us inside for a cup of tea and a chinwag, we realized something wasn't quite right about him. He looked pale, he looked like he'd lost weight, and he looked like he wasn't sleeping very well either. And not only that, but the flat that he was living in was an absolute pigsty. We didn't bring it up right away, but we were too busy chatting about this and that and trying not to break into our beer stash too early. But in the end, I asked him if he was feeling up to a few drinks that night because he looked a wee bit peaky. And I'll never forget how he let out a deep sigh before talking, and when he did, he told us that the last 2 weeks had been some of the most difficult of his whole life. Dean's new flatmate had started out as a sound fella, but then after a few weeks, he'd started letting his true colors show. The flat was in such a sorry state because Aaron never, ever cleaned up, and the only way Dean had been roped into living there was that the landlord had scrubbed the place down and made sure Aaron was out of the flat during the viewing. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Aaron and his landlord conspired to trick Dean into signing a 6-month contract because, from what I gathered, they loathed each other with a passion. But they both had something to gain from Dean living there, so I suppose there was some degree of collaboration. You see, Dean hadn't moved into a cozy apartment with an eccentric but playful older roommate. He was living with a mentally unstable alcoholic who never paid his rent and was prone to violent, psychotic outbursts. He just hadn't realized it until it was far too late. Dean said that when he first moved in, he met an Aaron that liked the same kind of music, liked the same kind of films, and who made him feel as welcome as possible by handing him a can of beer every 5 minutes. But then Dean started to realize that Aaron drank pretty much all day, every day, and that by work, Aaron meant that he went out stealing. He didn't tell Dean what he did to make money at first, but once he seemed on the level, he told him that he shoplifted, burgled, went out stealing money from blackout drunks on a Saturday night, just about anything but make an honest living. He also refused to pay any rent, refused to vacate the apartment, and once told Dean that the police would have to come in and drag him out of there, and that's only if one of them fancied losing an eye. The only reason Aaron gave Dean an easy ride, which he didn't seem to give anyone else, was the fact that he was apparently his new drinking buddy and smoking buddy, and if Aaron had anything to do with it, they'd be sharing other things before long. According to Dean, Aaron didn't just drink and have a bit of puff. He did all sorts. Whatever he could get his hands on, and the harder the stuff, the more volatile he became. Dean said that just a few nights before, he'd come home to find Aaron smoking spice, this sort of synthetic cannabis stuff. He said he was out of his mind on it, and then after playing his stereo way too loud for hours in his bedroom, Dean said Aaron came out of his bedroom with an effing samurai sword and started doing moves with it. I don't know what you'd call it. I'm sure the Japanese have a word for it, but Aaron was waving the sword around like he was practicing a fight, but in slow motion. Dean said he retreated to his bedroom immediately and locked the door, then just hoped that Aaron would decide to leave him alone for the night. Aaron never turned his music down when he partied like that, and his neighbors had long given up on making him try. Dean said he learned to live with the incessant droning of industrial metal late at night, but had never gotten used to the sound of Aaron throwing fits. He'd start randomly screaming, or he'd kick or throw something against his bedroom wall, and Dean told us the random and violent nature of the sound would always wake him up. Aaron ate disgusting, smelly food. His hygiene was atrocious, and on more than one occasion, Aaron had tried to climb into bed with Dean in the middle of the night. He'd obviously needed to start locking his door, but he couldn't spend his entire life in his bedroom. What Dean really needed was help getting the hell out of there at a time when Aaron couldn't notice he was leaving. Apparently, Dean had already raised the prospect of moving out after he and Aaron had a minor disagreement over something, and Aaron exploded. He asked what his problem was, if he didn't like him, and if he didn't like him, he should just come out and say it so they could settle their problems like men and not little girls. Aaron's words, not mine or Dean's. Dean had managed to talk his way out of that one, but he realized that if he was going to make an escape, it had to be a quick one, and with Aaron being aware. Without shite. Fucking shite. Do I collect Pokemon? I did back in the day. I collected Pokemon cards and played Pokemon and stuff. But now I just don't do that. Bout of COVID. Maybe that's what I have too, but I have no idea. It's just annoying, you know? Yeah, he's just doing karate with a sword, which is awesome. What happened to Florian? I think the guy moved out or something. That guy was scary. But I'll probably start with this story. Did I watch The Boys? Not yet. I still need to watch season 4. I'm sure someone will ruin it and spoil it at some point, but I hope you don't. Seek medical care. Well, it's not that bad. It's stuff that I've been through before. Like, I've had, my lungs have had crap in them before that eventually I'm able to get out. Honestly, towards the end of like having crap in my lungs, sometimes I'm able to get it out best by going on like a jog, which sounds interesting, but I think it's just like opens up the lungs and like really clears stuff out. And then as far as like muscular pain, it's never been quite this bad, but I just gotta get some work done, and then I should be good. I'm immerse. Collapsed lung or pneumothorax. It's not that bad. I mean, you would be aware of that, wouldn't you? I mean, I imagine you would if you're, like, just wouldn't be able to breathe. Man, that would suck if you, like, had a collapsed lung and just had no idea. How did the peptides cause you to be sick? Well, I'm fairly certain that the increase in HGH actually caused two reactions in my body. One, I was drinking a lot of those like LMNT element drinks that have like 1,000 grams of like milligrams of sodium in them, so that's like a lot of water retention baseline. And then the peptide produces HGH, which also causes like water retention. So I'm fairly certain that both of those things in conjunction, heavy sodium intake and that, because I would drink like 2 of those element drinks a day just because I had them and I was like, oh, they're pretty good, but you don't realize that like a lot of in conjunction with the other things that I was drinking and sodium intake as well, it's like you don't realize how much shit that you're getting. So I'm thinking it was just water retention that created like pulmonary edema, where like the permeability between like my like vessels in my lungs allowed like fluid to kind of transfer into the lungs, and then basically just kind of got like a sort of semi-pneumonia from that or whatever. But where sodium goes, I guess I just really didn't think it through. What's up, Lynn? How we doing? But yeah, I'm good. Dean had managed to talk his way out of that one, but he realized that if he was going to make an escape, it had to be a quick one, and without Aaron being aware. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the real reason he'd invited us down for the weekend. Not for a little reunion with the boys. Dean was planning a not-so-great escape. Now, he'd told us all of this, and we still hadn't met Aaron yet. But by that stage, and to be perfectly honest with you, I was a bit nervous about the prospect. I mean, once we'd heard about the whole samurai sword thing, a replica but still sharp, and how he was so quick to go and grab it, that definitely added a scary dimension to the whole thing. It wasn't a case of just helping Dean move some boxes. We had to plan the whole thing like some type of military operation. And what's worse, we had to wait 48 hours until Sunday to do it, as Aaron would most likely be in the apartment until Sunday afternoon, at which point he'd go out stealing and try to earn a bit of drug money. And then suddenly, white as we Aaron, yeah. Aaron, out. Burglar. How much? The weird thing is if you go out like consistently to make money by being a burglarer or like a thief, I feel like eventually someone's gonna recognize your like Hamburglar outfit or like see you in an area that they've seen you before, I feel like it would not last long in the modern era. Then suddenly, right as we agree that Sunday is the day that we help Dean move, we hear keys sliding in the flat's lock, signaling that Aaron had returned home. The door slams, he walks down the little hallway towards the living room where we're sitting, and the whole time, I watch Dean just sort of shrink. I'd never seen him act like that before, ever. His bark was definitely a lot worse than his bite, but Dean wasn't some pushover. So to see him subtly but definitely cowering at this Aaron fellow as he was approaching, it was quite something. Aaron walks into the room, and Dean and I's mutual friend lay eyes on him for the first time. He wasn't quite what I expected, in that he looked more like a metalhead than the kind of shoplifting pawn life we were used to up in Durham. He was covered in tattoos, had shoulder-length, dyed black hair, and had one of those bull-ring nose piercings which he removed to look less conspicuous while on the rob. We were obviously a bit wary of him, but at first, Aaron seemed really friendly and welcoming. Apparently he had no idea Dean had invited us, but he also didn't seem to have a problem with it either. In fact, not only did he seem keen to have us stay for the weekend, he thought it was a good excuse to throw a party. Dean played along, as did we, as Aaron talked about inviting some girls over, getting a few bags and bottles, and all meeting back at the flat in a few hours once it had gotten dark. Dean then says that he wants us to... Dean Schmeen. Mean Grow Dean. Oh yeah, I was happy to be in that George video. Omar, thank you for 11 months. I have this bonus membership milestone chat that I never use every month, so here I am using it rather than expiring like usual. Hello, world. Hello, Omar. Thank you for almost a year. Dean then says that he wants to walk us around the area a bit, show us the pub that he liked to drink in, then we popped out after saying our goodbyes to Aaron. Now, as you can imagine, first thing we bring up when we're out of the flat was something like, "What the hell are you doing agreeing to a party tonight? This fellow goes mental when he adds a few lines and you're putting us in harm's way. Blah, 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 blah." Aaron then replies that no, it's perfect, because if Aaron blew all the cash that he had on that Friday night, he'd then be forced to go on a shoplifting spree the next day, because he always started craving crack when he's hungover. And our jaws were just on the floor. We're at an age where the cure for a hangover was like a McDonald's breakfast, and in his desperation to be closer to his Facebook girlfriend, Dean had managed to become the flatmate of an actual crackhead. We understood that if we had a blowout that night, we'd be able to move Dean out of that flat and into his girlfriend's mom's garage, which could serve as temporary accommodation, but there was a lot we couldn't reconcile. We each had at least 24 questions for him. I mean, that walk to the pub turned into a proper little interrogation. But all of the questions we asked, like, why didn't you leave earlier, or why don't you just get the police involved, all of his answers came down to one of two things. Number one, Dean was legitimately scared for his own safety. If everything he told us was true, especially the stuff about the samurai sword, then he had to be right of it. He had a right... Fuck. It's so weird. Sometimes I get to the words and they just mix up in my brain. What do I think of Booze and Booze? He's awesome, man. I think he's doing a great job. I'm proud of him. Number one, Dean was legitimately scared for his safety, and if everything he told us was true, especially the stuff about the samurai sword, then he had a right to be. And number two, he needed his friends. He was in a brand new place, knew next to no one, and he was tired, depressed, and afraid. Dean said what little time he got to spend with his girlfriend, he was so exhausted that all he did was catch up on sleep. He needed our help, and he needed it badly, and by God, after all was said and done, we were ready and willing to give it to him. A few hours later, we've got a few beers in the fridge, and Aaron returns from picking up his sniff with his girlfriend in tow. She had a similar looking lifestyle to Aaron, but unlike her boyfriend, she seemed a bit soft and dopey. No offense to the girl, but she seemed a bit slow, like she'd only ended up being Aaron's girlfriend to begin with because he found her easy to manipulate. And that might sound a bit harsh, but that's honestly the reading I got after meeting her, and it's also my way of saying that while Aaron was a maniac, his girlfriend was just a bit daft. Now anyway, we're all sitting around and drinking, and while Aaron thinks we're having a party, me and Dean's mutual friend were basically there as bodyguards. Aaron was nice and friendly at first, but as he worked his way through beer after beer and started doing some harder drugs with his girlfriend, he started to get more and more aggressive. It started when he was doing lines. He offered Dean and me's mutual friend some, and when he declined, he started berating us about how we were no fun. He told us, "Even Dean has a bit of Charlie with us, don't you?" Wait, what? Dopey soft. He told us, "Even Dean has a bit of Charlie with us, don't you?" And us, as his old friends, were thinking, "No, he doesn't. Dean likes a beer, but he's hardly ever touched any drugs at all." But then right there, before our very eyes, Dean leans over and does a bump before giving us both this sort of sheepish look. Fuck. Okay, so it sounds like Dean is addicted to cocaine as well. But then, right there, before our very eyes, Dean leans over and does a bump before giving us both a very sheepish look. I suppose he'd learned to take the path of least resistance, as they say, but seeing how intimidated and browbeaten our old mate was, it was shocking. After all, we hadn't seen Aaron's wild side yet, so it didn't make sense why he was so scared of him. The night went on for a little while longer without incident. Aaron started acting like a total prick, saying the most obnoxious crap you can imagine about just about everything you can imagine. But there were no indications that any swords were about to be produced, so me and Dean and our mutual friend all stayed quite chilled out, and more beers were getting drunk while Aaron's working through his bag of sniff, and then eventually he announced that it was time to put some music on. And I suspected that he was about to put on some very loud and fast stuff, and I wasn't wrong. But we turned the volume up so loud that he literally had to shout to make ourselves heard. I suspected he was about to put on something very loud and fast, and I wasn't wrong. But he turned the volume up so loud that we had to literally shout to make ourselves heard. This didn't seem to bother Aaron, though, and he actually thought it was funny that the music was ruining what little vibe we'd got going, and set about trying to make us sing the lyrics to songs we'd never heard before in our lives. Shortly after, Aaron was up dancing, if you could even really call it that, while we just tried our best to get through it in the assurance that it meant getting out of there a day earlier than planned. We kept the drinking to a minimum, knowing we'd be moving boxes or whatever come the following day, but being forced to listen to Aaron's shite music made me want to get blackout drunk. He was content to dance on his own for a while, but after a few songs, he asked his girlfriend to dance with him. And she joined in, but very awkwardly, like she was scared of what he might do, and it wasn't long before Aaron showed exactly why she seemed so anxious. They were dancing at first, but then Aaron started getting rougher and rougher with her, until some of his dance moves consisted of him just choking her from behind. I don't mean like putting his hand around her neck either, like you could see on his girlfriend's face that she couldn't breathe. He did it a couple more times, and we're getting ready to step in because he's choking her for longer and longer each time. But then his girlfriend suddenly elbows him, shoves him off, and slaps him. And then, all hell breaks loose. We later found out Dean had been a witness to a lot of this sort of behavior and had always tried to intervene where possible. But could he only... How words are made? Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I kind of get it now, but like, yeah, back in the day, like, how did we make the alphabet the one that we use now? And I don't know, just crazy. With the sounds that we made, like, how do we who's like, when I make this sound, it's gonna be this little squiggle in the ground, and then when we write the squiggle, we can say that sound. Maybe it started with music. That would be actually kind of interesting. What if that's how it all started? Well, music came before words. Or like writing. Yeah, it all started with Ooga Booga. Talked in farts, yeah. We later found out Dean had been a witness to a lot of this sort of behavior, and had always tried to intervene where possible. But he could only do so much knowing that he had to live with the bloke, and by that, I mean, he couldn't just deck him like he'd wanted to. But then, since me and his other mate were there, and knowing we had his back, Dean launches himself across the room as Aaron starts throwing punches at his girlfriend's face. We followed in his footsteps, and within a few seconds, we had Aaron restrained. Dean starts shouting at his girlfriend to leave, but she didn't move. She just stood there, frozen, like she didn't know what to do. I joined in shouting at her to call the police, but instead of snapping out of it and calling 999, she ran off into Aaron's room and slammed the door shut, leaving the three of us basically sitting on top of him. We do a bit of shuffling about, then I'm able to get off of him, grab my phone, and call the police. I told them that we had a mental case in our hands. A bloke had gone berserk and he was going to hurt someone because we couldn't restrain him all night. The lady on the phone said... The lady on the phone said that she could hear Aaron screaming about how he was going to kill us and that she'd get someone out as soon as possible, which she... God damn it. Poop on butts, dude. The lady on the phone said that she could hear Aaron screaming about how he was going to kill us and that she'd get someone out to us as soon as possible, which she did. Aaron was still screaming bloody murder when the police got there, and after he tried attacking them as well, that was it. He was off to the cells for the night, giving us a tidy 24 hours to move Dean's stuff out into his girlfriend's mom's place. It'd be cramped, but Aaron had no idea where the house was. Oh, right. Why was he so afraid to move again? I'm so confused. At first I thought we were about to find out that he was addicted to cocaine or something, and that he just didn't want to tell them initially. He was addicted to love, yeah. The love that Aaron gave him. It'd be cramped, but Aaron had no idea where the house was, so there'd be no tracking him down, and sharing a bathroom with 3 normal people was better than sharing one with a dangerous and violent psychopath. We got Dean out of there, so it was mission accomplished, and then we went out to celebrate on the Sunday before we drove back to Durham. But now I look back on it, the celebration feels a bit bittersweet. Aaron made things easy for us by trying to bite a policeman. Okay. Aaron made things easy for us by trying to bite a policeman, and so it was a quick in and out, and Dean was able to end a miserable little chapter in his life. But I sometimes think about Aaron's girlfriend, how even after choking and punching her, she'd run into Aaron's bedroom at the first sign of trouble and just stayed there. We shouted at her to leave, to call the police, but she chose to run into the bedroom of her abusive tit. We shouted at her to leave, to call the police, but she chose to run into the bedroom of her abusive boyfriend and lock the door. And sometimes I really worry for that girl's future. But with the attitude she's got, I suppose there's only so much you can do. And that being said, I hope someone gets her some help, some proper help, before it's too late. Alright. I feel like my legs are gonna cramp. Dude, I am just in a 75. I'm operating at 53% right now. An at-home sauna, that'd be sick. Does it help with pain? My hypochondriac? No, I'm literally mentioning the same shit I've been mentioning all stream. You're the one that said a collapsed lung. I was a real idiot when I was younger. I got hooked on Oxycontin, got in trouble with the cops, then ended up faced with two choices. Either go to jail or take part in a state-mandated rehab program called The Farm. The Farm was, unsurprisingly, a farm, and I'm guessing its owner had friends in high places because he managed to wrangle himself a deal whereby he could get himself all the dirt-cheap labor he needed so long as they were all troubled youths facing jail time. I guess that sounds real exploitative or whatever, but looking back on it, I'm not sure it was the farmer who benefited more. I guess I can't speak for the other kids, but working in that place sure as hell saved my ass. And sometimes I think it just might have been a stroke of genius sending us to that place, because picking up trash on the side of the highway is one thing, but seeing how putting time and love into something really can create something beautiful, it fixed a part of my brain I didn't know needed fixing. I made friends at the farm that I still talk to. Granted, it's on Facebook because we live at opposite ends of the country now, but the point still stands. It gave me discipline and self-belief, which is amazing considering I showed up expecting it to be nothing but baby jail. But then, I guess it's the irony of ironies that all of the crazy stuff I did on the street, it all kind of pales in comparison to something I went through at the farm. So when you first got to the farm, you were assigned a job and a roommate. Your job could be anything from livestock and crop management to irrigation or pest control, but your roommate was there for one purpose alone, to help break you into the routine and make sure you stayed on track. These roommates were ideal for the role because the system were working for them and... Wait, what? Hey, see ya, Queefer. What's up, Heather? How you doing? Long time no see. Your job could be anything from livestock and... God damn it. Your job could be anything from livestock and crop management to irrigation or pest control, but your roommate was there for one purpose alone, to help break you into the routine and make sure you stayed on track. These roommates were ideal for the role because the system was working for them and they could talk from the heart about how it could work for the newbies too. And that's how it worked with my mentor anyway, and when it came time, I gladly accepted the role myself. I knew it'd be a challenge, and I'm sure I myself was... Is like a YouTube live stream thing or like a cool cult thing? What are you saying? These roommates were ideal. What am I saying? That's how it worked, man. Oh, yeah. I knew it'd be a challenge. I'm sure I myself was a challenge. Okay. A movie called Circle. What's that about? I knew it'd be a challenge, and I'm sure I myself was a challenge when I first arrived. But I also knew that I had to give something back before I left the program and moved on with my life. Not everyone made it to mentorship level, and as cheesy as it might sound, I considered it an honor and a privilege. For the first time in my life, I felt truly appreciated and wanted to share my own appreciation in return. So around 9 months into the program, I'd risen to the position of livestock supervisor and had been given my own 2-bedroom living quarters in preparation for receiving my mentee. Obviously, the dorms were very strictly divided by gender, so I knew my mentee was going to be female. But what I didn't know, and had no way of knowing until I met her, was how cooperative she was going to be. If she was chilled out, repentant, and receptive, then the next month would be an absolute breeze for me. But then if she wasn't... Oops, fucking clicked something. I don't even know what I clicked. Probably the nuke button. Alif Muhammad with the 10 says, would you be comfortable letting a guest do a narration while you get better? If not, I understand. Just want you to get well soon. You amaze me. Oh, I appreciate that. No, I mean, I'll be good. I honestly, I'm not even like really necessarily sick. I mean, I've been really, really sick and still done narrations and stuff. I'm good. I appreciate that though. Thank you. You gonna vote for me? Thanks, dude. If she was chilled out, repentant, and receptive, then the next month would be an absolute breeze for me. But then if she wasn't, I knew things could get very rough. I'd already heard a bunch of horror stories and how troublesome uncooperative mentees could be when the rubber really hit the road, and in 1 or 2 classes, fights had broken out between the mentors and their roommates. I really didn't want that to happen, so my whole game plan focused on pacification and building a rapport between myself and my mentee. Pretty much the exact same tactic my own mentor took back when I first arrived at the farm. So the day my mentee was due to arrive, I was actually super excited to meet her, and I wasn't in the least bit discouraged by her attitude upon arrival. Upon Harambe. What if it actually was Harambe shows up? You gave me an ape? Like an actual ape as a mentee? Yeah. You gotta get him right. Teach him about gardening. He's been, like, not very good. A kid fell into his enclosure and he, like, grabbed him. What if that's what happened? Harambe got sent to the farm. So, the day my mentee was due to arrive, I was actually really excited to meet her, and I wasn't in the least bit discouraged by her attitude upon arrival. Now, she obviously didn't want to be there, but very few did upon first touching down, so I understood her reticence and took it in my stride. And since I was still on livestock, she accompanied me on a few days' work with the animals after her induction was finished. And although she really didn't take it... Hey, Boop369. I'm late. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome, Boop. Good to see you. Hey, see you, Heather. Take care. I really am curious, though. I wonder the kid who fell into the Harambe enclosure. Nobody ever, seems to care about him. You know, they're all... I mean, granted, I get it's like a meme and stuff. And it is sad that Harambe had to get his head exploded by a 50 caliber. I don't know, why did they use a 50 cal sniper rifle to shoot Harambe in the head? That just seems like a bit much. But, yeah, I've always been curious what the kid is up to. Maybe he hides his identity because people would be really mad at him if they found out. That kid's life is destroyed. He's probably just existing in non-stop trauma. Yeah, I think they keep it in like a glass enclosed, like if monkey break glass, you know, or something like that. And then it's Master Chief. Master Chief, you want to explain to me what you're doing blowing Harambe's head off? Sir. Monkey mode. Since I was still in livestock, she accompanied me on a few days' work with the animals after her induction was finished. And although she really didn't take to it at first, she warmed up with time and showed rapid improvement. She was due to be with me for a month, and the month could have either been very short or very long, and by about week 2, it was looking like it was going to be the short kind. Shauna, my mentee, was fitting and well, and although her attitude needed major work sometimes, we were making some major breakthroughs together. And then came the day that the cops arrived, 2 of them, and I spotted them talking to a very concerned-looking group leader. I walked over, mainly intent on listening in on what they were saying, but when the group leader spotted me, she called me over to talk. I found out the cops had driven all the way out from the city because they were looking for someone, and that someone just so happened to be my mentee, Shauna. They didn't just want to talk to her either. They had a warrant out for her in another county. I need to read that again. Whose high school did Harambe go to? Cortana. The gorillas are at it again. Chief? Chief, leave them alone, Chief. Cortana. I'm getting naked and I'm going in. Chief, leave your suit on, sir. Cortana. Shut up, dumb bitch. Ha 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 ha. He's just like throwing his own poop at the monkeys. And that someone just so happened to be my mentee, Shauna. They didn't just want to talk to her either. She had a warrant out for her in another county, and they were there to arrest her. Obviously, this kind of presented us with a very precarious situation, because we didn't know how Shauna was going to react to all this. She could potentially be going back to jail for whatever she'd done, so if she saw the cops coming, she might just try and run. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, and she's been so volatile at the beginning that no one could be 100% sure about what she'd do. But then, as we were thinking about it, I had an idea. If I could go and talk to her first and break the bad news, it might be received better coming from me instead of cops. I remember how, when I was on Oxys, just the sight of a cop would give me major anxiety. And I don't know, maybe in another life I'd have made a run for it too. And all that progress, all that hope, so suddenly and cruelly being taken away. It was a nightmare, but one that was about to be Shauna's reality in the next couple of minutes, unless I was there to soften the blow. Once the plan was agreed upon, I walked off towards the dorms to where I was pretty sure Shauna was just kind of chilling in her room. She was right where I expected her to be when I walked in, and I sat down in the bed opposite her and told her how we needed to talk. I think she genuinely had no idea that she had that other warrant out for her, because when I dropped the news, she was devastated. And to say it was emotional would be the understatement of the century, and she actually did bring up the idea of just how running off before the cops could... Whoops. What if there was a colonel named Popcorn? Colonel Popcorn. Yes, Chief? Call me Colonel Popcorn. 'Cause I'm popping my collar. Bollocks. I think she genuinely had no idea she had the other warrant out for her, because when I dropped the news, she was devastated. She was devastated. Oh my god, so random. She was devastated. Are they in rehab? Yeah, it's like some sort of rehabilitation place where they do manual labor and feel good about themselves. I think she genuinely had no idea that that other warrant was out for her, because when I dropped the news, she was devastated. To say it was emotional would be the understatement of the century, and she actually did bring up the idea of just running off before the cops could see where she went. But then somehow, I managed to talk her into just going with the cops to see what the warrant was about, because it was better to face the music than run from it and make things worse. The thing... Fuck. The thing that really seemed to convince her was when I asked her if she was 100% truly certain that she didn't know what the warrant was about. Then when she gave me yet another convincing no, I told her that it couldn't have been that serious. She'd remembered robbing a liquor store or shooting someone, but if she seriously didn't remember and wasn't blackout drunk when it happened, then it couldn't have been any worse than a missed court date or a traffic violation. Shauna calmed down a little, like, damn, you're right. And after promising that the group leaders would put in a good word for her so that she might be able to come back, she agreed to follow me over to where the cops were waiting. I remember how we were walking side by side after we left the dorms. But when we turned the corner of the community hub and the cops came into view, Shauna slipped from my side and started to drop back just a little. It was obviously just a little hesitance, a little Hennessy. I'm a little hesitant about the Hennessy. Hey, see ya, Christine. Take care. What happened to Dean? I think he OD'd on cocaine in the one story. So he's dead. Sucks, but... It was obviously just a little hesitancy on her part, but I figured we were over that and kept encouraging her. But when I looked back in her direction after she totally slipped from me, I didn't notice that she was reaching for something. But she must have been, because I looked back towards the cops and the next thing I know, there's a knife at my throat. I just froze for a few seconds, and feeling the knife to my throat was one thing, but realizing it was Shauna that was holding it was another thing entirely. I was completely blindsided, and all I could do was just stand there as Shauna held my head with one hand and the knife with the other, as cops drew their weapons and started to approach. Shauna started telling me to walk backwards, which I did, but I think the movement kind of kicked my brain into life, because the words, "What are you doing?" just started tumbling out of my mouth. I said stuff like, "Shauna, what are you doing? Shauna, think about what you're doing." And she responds, "I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to jail. I'm getting out of here." All the while, the cops are screaming to put the knife down, put the knife down. But all Shauna seemed focused on was walking backwards and not cutting my throat on accident. I remember telling her, "They're going to shoot you, Shauna. They're going to kill you if you don't stop." And she just yelled at me to shut up and keep walking, which again is what I did. Kids had come running to see what was going on because they could hear all the yelling, So as we're walking backwards, almost hip to hip, there's this big gathering of children all watching from near the There's this big gathering of kids all watching from near the community hub, and it was chaos. But I never once believed Shauna would ever do me any harm. It was just a desperate attempt to avoid going to jail, and as soon as she got to the trees over near the livestock fields, she was going to make a run for it. But that's not what happened. There was about a minute where I was trying to convince her to let me go, but Shauna was too busy trying to get the cops to keep their distance. She was yelling at them to stay back and all this other stuff, and totally ignoring anything that I had to say to her. But then there was this moment when she stopped, and it was like she came back to me for a second. At first she told me to shut up again, but I kept telling her how she was going... They're going to shoot a cannonball at Shauna. At first, she told me to shut up again, but I kept telling her how what she was doing wouldn't work. If the cops didn't catch her on foot, she'd end up running from them on her own in a place where she was unfamiliar with. If she stuck to the roads, she'd be in cuffs within hours, but if she stuck to the woods, it'd be her versus the bears and cougars and Mother Nature. And I told her again, this won't work, Shauna. And in reply, she told me, yes, it will, because they'll be too busy trying to save you than to chase me. I could write all night, I guess, and still not even get close to how terrified those words made me feel. And like I said, I was 99.999% convinced that Shauna meant me zero harm and had just panicked when she realized she was going to jail. But maybe she even remembered what the warrant was about and remembered that it was way worse than she first thought. Who knows? Not like she's around to ask her either. Who knows? Not like she's around to ask her either. And the last thing she yelled as she intended to draw the blade of that knife across my throat was, I'm sorry. But she didn't just say it, she yelled it. And I guess that was all the cops needed to hear. She yelled that apology, and I felt the blood hit my face. But it wasn't mine. It was Shauna. After one of the cops heard her cry, took aim and pulled the trigger. I had a tiny cut where the knife nicked me as she fell, but other than that, I was completely unharmed. Shauna, on the other hand, was probably dead before she even hit the dirt. The cop put the bullet right through her brainstem, and there was a hole in her face between her nose and her eye. I just started screaming. Like I didn't know if I had been shot, how bad the cut to my throat was, because, like I said, it was bleeding a little and I was in a state of complete hysteria. I got down on my knees and started trying to wake Shauna up, like shaking her. I thought that there'd be a chance that she'd survive the shot. I mean, people survive crazy head wounds sometimes. But I think I just knew, maybe from the look in her eyes, that there was no more life inside her anymore. That day was the worst of my entire life. It's not something I'll ever get over either. I've just learned to live with it. I know Shauna had to die so that I might live, and I heard the sureness in her voice, and I know in my heart that she might have been about to kill me. But that doesn't mean that every single day I don't think about her and wish that she'd made a different choice. Okay, question. In a hostage situation, cops don't, like, if you're not a fucking sharpshooter, like, given the A-OK and the ability to engage with a sniper rifle to shoot the person with the hostage in the head, and you just have a pistol, which, I mean, I can imagine that they were pretty fucking far away, or maybe they were close. But I can't imagine that the protocol for a police officer would be ever to open fire towards a hostage and aim for the head. You know what I mean? Of the hostage taker, because I feel like unless he just like accidentally pulled his trigger and like hit the shot, which somehow fucking happened, I have no idea, but did Shauna have a gun? She had a knife, which in a situation with a knife, like, police do still consider that a deadly weapon and will open fire. But when it comes to pistols, they're trained to like be center body mass, so they're going to shoot for like the heart, which if there's a hostage in front, they're not going to just like open fire on someone's head and hope it doesn't also hit the hostage, because pistols are not accurate at all. What other merch ideas do you want to release? I don't know. I haven't done new merch in so long, but I'm open to ideas. Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's ask ChatGPT. They know everything about killing. All right. In the American justice system, if someone is being held hostage via holding the hostage like a shield with a knife to their throat, would a police officer with a pistol attempt to shoot the hostage taker in the head? The American justice system responds to police officers to a hostage situation, de-escalation negotiation, which they didn't seem to do, tactical response, and negotiation fails with the hostage life as a tactical response may be necessary. This could involve, I feel like a SWAT team would have lethal force if the hostage taker's action poses an imminent threat to the life of hostage. An officer may be justified to use lethal force. This could involve shooting the hostage taker, aim for the head if it's only available target that ensures the safety of the hostage. I guess, man, that's fucking. I feel like to take a chance like that and not expect to, like, I don't know, nick the hostage right in the neck or clavicle or some shit, it would just be like fucking insane. Anyways, let's read the outro, shall we? What time is it? 2:20? That's not bad. Yeah, maybe it was John Wick, off-duty police officer. I should release a plushie. That'd be fun. Can you guys think of something funny for me to say at the end of this? Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. EST. And there are super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over email, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. That email is letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And don't forget, Alright, when I took that earlier after the first story, I went and got the magnesium. Let's say a slur. I would prefer not to do that. The party's over. Good night. Please stay safe out there. White wine or red wine? Damn, good question, honestly. I kind of like white wine a little bit more, especially if it's sweet. Dude, I kind of want to just drink a bunch of wine. Not now. What? No outro slurs? What the fuck? Every cool YouTuber does it. Mr. Beast, that's what he's going to do in his new video. Just to really solidify things. And just so you know where we're at, everybody. Beep, 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 beep. And remember, Harambe. Good call, good call. We'll do that one. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Harambe. Harambe. Cough really aggressively and like peek the mic. But yeah, if you guys get a chance to play Animal Well, it's really good. The only thing is that the fucking, oh my god, my back hurts. The only thing is that the some of the puzzles, like I got so far in that game, I got like 85% of the way done, like I beat it. But like some of the puzzles in the game are just like so outrageously ridiculous on like what you would anticipate like to figure out. So then I had to like I got to the point where it's like, all right, I'm just like bored of like searching around hoping, because it does feel really good when you like look around and you finally find something that enables you to like go to a different area in the very Metroidvania style, which is cool. And the way that you solve some of the puzzles are like very uniquely within the world, which is fun as well. But there's some puzzles where I was like, all right, I gotta look this up. And there was like on their subreddit, like a hint page where it was like big questions you had and then like a bunch of spoiler type text. We had to click on it to get like little hints to slowly figure out what to do. And maybe you could figure out on your own, which is like, all right, that's cool, I'll click that. And then as I was going through it, no shit, and not to ruin it for some of you, but like, well, no, actually I won't ruin it, but like some of the fucking puzzles that I thought were like shit that I just needed to figure out on my own was like stuff that like required the entire community to like figure out together, because they all had like different things going on with their stuff. And then other stuff was like crazy shit, like a fucking, one was like a barcode, like you were supposed to figure out that like one area was actually like a barcode on the screen, and then you needed to translate the barcode to, you know, the flute or whatever. I don't know, I'm just like, how the fuck is supposed to figure that shit out? Granted, some of the most insane puzzles within the game, oh man, it was like the amount of like in-depth nature to it, and like I don't even know, like some of the shit that some people figure out, it makes me wonder how the hell we haven't figured out like the Zodiac ciphers, which I guess we did, right? But it's like, for as quick as like this game came out, and I think the developer did not expect people to figure out some of like the more complex shit until like years down the line, and they figured it out in 2 weeks. It took them 2 weeks and like a collaborative effort to like figure out half the shit. What is it? Peisporter and Gewürztraminer, a German dessert wine. That does sound yummy. Red wine is basically NyQuil. Imagine if you mix them both together. Yummy, yummers. Just kidding. Beef jerky and red wine. Just a small town boy. Say as your outro, if you don't subscribe, I will find you, and I can't promise you don't want to know what I'll do when I have you in my grasp. Oh, shit. Well, fudge. I should probably go stretch my body and fix it. It's weird. It's a weird system of things. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. This audio will get put up on Fake My Own Death. Yeah, somebody breaks in, shoots me. No. Like, you think you can say stuff about zodiac signs and astrology and get away with it? This is from the astrological mob. Space mob. An actual firing squad. 1, 2, today. Fear. Yeah, I'll get this up on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there. You can do early access, or not early access, but well, yeah, you get early access, but you can do free trial, and I'll get it up on YouTube, same time, same place. But yeah, love you guys. Appreciate you. Follow me on Twitter at Let's Read to be kept up to date when I go live, on the off chance YouTube's notifications don't hit. Otherwise, hit the notification bell there for all new live streams and videos. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next stream. And God bless Harambe. Bye-bye.